Hello. It's me and it's Kieran. I'm here today with today's Daily C. Now, today's Daily C is about the fact that you can't win them all, and as a result, you shouldn't actually try. Well, not so much that you shouldn't try, but what you shouldn't do is base your level of self-esteem on external factors that you can't control, i.e. whether or not other people resonate with the things that you've done, because you can't control that stuff. Here's an example. I write articles on Reddit, and I wrote an article on Reddit yesterday which had about 585 upvotes, right? It did really well, and it was viewed almost like 20,000 times or something crazy. I wrote one today, and the article I wrote today has got literally zero likes, and it's actually been downvoted. It's literally been downvoted. It's actually like got minus votes, but Reddit doesn't let you know when a post has minus votes, so it actually just puts it down to 0. But here's the thing. Yesterday's post and today's post have the same quality of information as far as I'm concerned, right? If you follow the advice in yesterday's post and you follow the advice in today's post, you will get to where you want to be. But be that as it may, they've both done completely differently, which is kind of due to the personalities of the various people who read the post and who actually, voted them. It's not really something that I can control. It's not. I had to just take the chance and just put it out there, I have done stand-up comedy, and I have been in clubs telling the same jokes on different occasions, right? I did a stand-up comedy competition about a year ago, and I did the competition a year ago, and I basically came like second or third out of like 20 comedians or something like that. I did really well. However, I went back to the same club the next week in front of different people, told the same jokes, and it was literally like crickets. Nobody cared. But the point is this: I could have went on the first week and then did really well and be like, yeah, man, I'm the man. Like, people love me. I'm the man. Yeah, I'm the man. Look at all this adoration. Look at all of the love I'm getting from people. I'm the man. And then I go the next week and it's just crickets. And then I'm like, I'm a loser. Nobody actually cares about me. I'm a loser. And the point is, if you get your idea of who you are and what you are worth from other people, then you will basically shoot yourself in the skull with like a magnum. Instead, it's just got to come from you. It really does need to come from you. Like, just know that you're a worthwhile person and that you're doing your best. You're a worthwhile person, you're doing your best, and ultimately, irrespective of whether or not other people gel with you, you're still actually good. You can go down that route, and then you can also go down another route as well, which is that, okay, I'm posting these articles on Reddit because I want to build an audience and stuff and actually help people. But the fact remains, right? If I post an article and it does really well, and I post another one and it does poorly, I'm still actually getting to where I want to get to. I am actually still getting there, It's, in an ideal world, I suppose everybody would freaking love every article that I post. But even if that's not the case, I'm still creeping forward, incrementally, each time I freaking write something, But yeah, ultimately, your view of who you are and how much you're worth has to come from you and not from other people. Because if it comes from other people, you're basically just a slave. If it comes from other people, then you will find yourself doing things purely so that other people will like it, and not because it's a true reflection of who you are. And then when people change their opinions left and right, you will change who you are to be like those people as well, which is a very, 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 very sad state of affairs. And another thing to remember as well, right, is that we live in the Western world. And unless you don't live in the Western world, unless you live in somewhere like Iraq or Afghanistan, where there's dire physical consequences arranged with not falling in line with what people are doing, really and truly, if you do something and people disagree, you're actually still going to be alive. I've written stuff and people have insulted me. And people have gone, mate, you're a loser. Why the hell would you say that? Or someone said to me yesterday, why are you buying all of these upvotes? You buy upvotes on your Reddit posts. Why would you do that? You're such a loser. And the truth is, I'm still here. Look at me. In all my glory, I'm still here. Nothing anybody can say can really affect you. Not really. Not unless you decide to let it affect you. So that is basically it. That is it from me. That is it from the guy that you know as Kieran. So have yourself a lovely day, and guess what? You're about to see a trailer for my book, Death of the Ego. If you would like to buy my book, then I would like to love you long time, because I spent a lot of time working on it. And yeah, I do hope you like it. Even though if you don't, it doesn't actually mean that I'm a bad person. Bye-bye. Robert Anthony Kelly fought hard to maintain his composure as he felt a jolt of adrenaline burst across his chest. Today was the day, the big day. All of the long, laborious years of preparation, planning and strategizing were now about to culminate in this very moment, and that thought sent shivers of excitement throughout his entire body. He had her. He finally had the little bitch, and now she was about to receive the divine retribution that Robert and his followers knew she and the rest of the sinful heathens of the world sorely needed. Brianna was a world-renowned platinum-selling recording artist, and for reasons that were completely lost to Robert, the idol of millions. He spent years watching her meteoric rise to fame, watching her forge a multi-million-dollar career from spitting right in the face of all he held holy and moral. She made sexually explicit music videos in which she wore the most indecent of tight, figure-hugging outfits that literally left nothing to the imagination, and sang songs with lyrics that Robert knew for a fact would have made the people of Sodom and Gomorrah regurgitate their lunches. He hated the little whore and everything she stood for. Every time he saw a young girl singing her songs or imitating her lewd dances, he found himself trapped between the urges to weep to God in the high heavens and scream raw, blue, bloody murder to Satan for bringing this filthy harbinger of perversion into the world.
Where is the morality on this planet? And what's happened to decency and self-respect? Don't people realise that the pursuit of base desires like sex, money and material goods that nobody needs are the direct route into the lake of fire rather than the eternal bliss of the kingdom of God?
These thoughts consumed his mind on an hourly basis. Robert Anthony Kelly detested Brianna and everything she stood for. He was deeply ashamed of himself for the feeling she stirred within him whenever he saw her. He cursed himself each time he felt his heartbeat begin to quicken and sweat start to gather on his brow at the sight of the filthy whore and her sinful ways. He was a decent man, a God-fearing man, a man of honour and integrity, and he was doing his utmost to cleanse himself of his innate human wickedness and become spiritually pure. This dirty hussy was symbolic of a world that seemed hell-bent on not allowing him to achieve that goal. He found physical pain to be a calming influence when the impure thoughts began to work their way into his mind. At first, he would pinch himself until he drew blood, or perhaps punch himself in the face, but those methods eventually lost their potency, so he graduated to lacerating himself with the sharpest instrument he could find to hand. His arms and legs were covered with the scars he gave himself as a penance for his weaker moments, and they were a cause of unbearable shame to him. As a result, he always wore long-sleeve shirts and jumpers to hide them from the world, regardless of how hot or cold he might feel.
Please, don't hurt me, I'm begging you. I'm fucking begging you. Please, just let me go.
Brianna's anguished and tear-drenched words brought a true shine to Robert's heart as he heard them. He looked down at her crumpled and beaten form as she sat chained against the cold steel wall and felt a surge of pride overwhelm his senses.
I will do anything. I will do anything. Please just let me go.
The blood and broken tissue that filled her throat and mouth made it hard for Robert to understand her words, but he got the gist of what she was saying.
I'm sorry, my child. Truly I am. Believe me when I say that what is about to happen to you is not born of a personal vendetta, he said, lying through his teeth. What happens next comes only for the public good and for no other reason. I promise you that.
At this moment, Brianna began to wail and sob uncontrollably. It was a heart-wrenching cry of someone who knew that they were truly doomed and had lost all hope for their situation. It was the cry of a lost soul who at that very moment knew that they were heading into their final minutes of existence with no loved ones by their side. As she lay on the floor, involuntarily voiding her bladder and soaking her blood and sweat-stained rags with her own urine, Brianna gave the type of wail that would have made almost anybody weep with her in sympathy. Robert Anthony Kelly, on the other hand, smiled wryly with a deep sense of satisfaction. He hated the stench of the whore's urine on the steel floor, but he truly loved what it represented, so he found himself unsure of whether to cover his nose with his cardigan and mask the odour, or breathe in deeply from his diaphragm to savour every inch of the sweet smell of victory. He was taken aback slightly when Marta approached Brianna from behind him and rocked her jaw with a devastating right hook before demanding that she keep her blasphemous, heathen mouth shut. Robert admired Marta. He loved her very, very much, in fact. Unlike the whore, who lay whimpering in a crumpled heap on the floor before them, Marta was a demure and God-fearing lady of class and sophistication.